Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and for today's video we are going to be rebuilding this 5.3 right here that I've had for almost 2 years. We got all these nice new parts over here we're going to be throwing on. Some of them are old, but alright, let me give you a little backstory on this engine. So I was walking through Pick and Pull one day, didn't even really have any tools with me, only had a few I think. And I was planning on getting something else, and then I was walking through the truck section and I seen this engine just laying on the ground, and I was like, man, all the hard work's done. It's literally just sitting there. So I said, well, since this is easy pickings, I'm just gonna drop the oil pan and check the bearings and see what kind of condition the inside of the engine is in, since they just kind of, somebody pulled it out and just left it on the ground. So I wanted to kind of figure out why they decided to leave it on the ground. So I ended up dropping the oil pan, checking the bearings, everything was good. And during that process, I seen the timing chain was like hanging down, and I pulled on it and basically it was broken. So it just kind of came right out. So then I was like, well, obviously, there's probably some damage to the valves, so I took the heads off while I was sitting there in Pick and Pull. Didn't really see anything that stood out to me until later, once I purchased it and got it home. I took it off, and then I could see that there was a slight mark. I'll see if I can find it. You guys can see it, but a valve had made contact right there. And obviously these pistons were much more dirty when I was in Pick and Pull, so I didn't really necessarily see that. And so I put the heads back on, put a couple bolts in it just to hold them on. Ended up buying and getting it home, whatever. And then luckily enough, a friend of mine who also has a bunch of 5.3 LS truck stuff had a set of heads that seemed to be in really good shape, and that's these. So he ended up giving these to me for free, so big props to him for hooking me up with these. And I figured that was a better route than actually like rebuilding the heads and replacing all the valves on the other cylinder heads, which I still have those, but I don't really plan on doing anything with them. I decided to go this route because obviously it was a cheaper route. So timing chain kit we got to put on. We got some head studs, we got the head gaskets, we have all the gasket kit and all that to put this together. All the push rods and rocker arms and everything right there. Not that I think it really matters that much, but it won't hurt. So going back to the engine, the cylinder walls seem to be in pretty good condition, so I didn't really want to hone it. They have a lot of staining, but nothing that I don't think a couple revolutions once this thing fires up won't solve. So I'm not going to even hone it or anything like that. We're really going with a budget themed like refresh on this thing. I think the first order of business is going to be doing the timing chain. So we got to pull the oil pump and put on the timing chain and all the corresponding gears and everything that comes with it. All right. So I did kind of cheat a little bit. Oh, that's the wrong size. I went and got the harmonic balancer puller from the parts store earlier today and pulled this off so we could expose the timing chain and oil pump. I didn't film any of it, I should have, but I wanted to get it returned back to the stores because I had some other stuff I had to get or buy with that rental money for this project, so I had to buy the head studs or head bolts and front main seal, so that way we can put it all back together later. Well, we got to pull this oil pump now because the timing chain gear on the crank pulley is right behind here, so this all has to come off to get to it to replace it. I feel like I'm tuning a radio. This is what ladies like, right? Anyways, okay. that off. Yeah, obviously take this crank bolt out. Like that. Ooh, I might be in trouble.
Much later.
All right, well that took a while. It took me a while to figure out the best configurations for this pulley puller or bearing puller to get that to come off. And luckily enough, it did come off. So instead of running the beveled side down to basically close the jaws, it was bottoming out. So it wasn't getting small enough to grab onto the gear itself. So what I did is I reversed it and then used the non-beveled side. And then as I tightened it, it got tighter, and then boop, goes the weasel. So cool. I'm glad I didn't have to make a trip to the parts store to go rent another pulley puller. It's the small victories. All right, guys, before we continue with the video, please do me a favor. And if you like my content, please go ahead and hit the like button. It will help me out tremendously. It'll help with the YouTube algorithm. And, you know, that's the best way that you guys, if you guys enjoy my content, you guys can support the channel. So please do that. And then we'll get back to the video. All right, thanks. All right, next thing I need to do is get this pulley off. Wedge the screwdriver in there, hopefully. And get them loose. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna switch out this camshaft thrust plate. This is what holds the cam in, and these are pretty important. I'll show you here in a second. This would be the first time I've ever replaced one though. I never went down this far on a 5.3. Not even mine, I didn't replace this, but it's highly recommended. And so, let's say why not? And I think it's pretty cheap to replace this part. I think it's like less than 20 bucks. So, and the reason you replace it is right here. You can see right here, you can see that this is an oil passage. Your oil comes from either side through the back of this plate and then over to this, to the other port. And right here, that orange is the gasket that holds it. You could probably see it is pretty flat. You know, it's probably been in there, you know, almost 20 years now, I assume. So here's a nice new ICT billet. They make really good products. And this gasket you can see is hopefully raised a little bit more. And we will just slap this on. Put these on. And so basically, if that fails, you lose oil pressure and boom goes the dynamite. All right, now we just put the other sprocket, gear, whatever you want to call it, on. We're going to use the old one to kind of beat it down as far as we can. All right, so I screwed the pooch a little bit, and I'm supposed to put the timing gear on with the chain on it and then tighten it down. So we're just gonna have to take that gear back off. Not a big deal. Mistakes were made. Make sure your crank is top dead center, which, oh man, just move it. And then we make sure these are lined. Your dot on your pulley on your cam is lined up, and which it is off a lot right there. Well, I think that's lined up. What do you guys think? All right, next we're gonna slap on the oil pump. Make sure that that mating surface is clean, because that's where all your oil comes from. I think there's only one way the pump can actually go on, so there's a smaller groove for it to slide into where the keyway is. Okay, and I think all that's left to do is put the cover on it. All right, so we're making pretty good progress. So we got the timing chain, the gears and everything, and the front cover back on. So we're done there. Next, we need to move to prepping the surface of the block for the head gasket. We're gonna remove these dowels real fast, and then I'm just gonna hit it with some sandpaper to knock off some of the burrs. We're probably use about 600 grit, because it won't take very much material away from the block itself. So, all right, let's jump into that. All right, so we prepped it. All that's left is just like a little bit of staining left from the gasket or whatever. Not a big deal. Nice, clean mating surface. No rough spots or anything like that. So we're ready to set the heads on. All right, so the torque sequence is you basically start from the middle and work your way out. And then, so the first one is 22 pounds. There you go. All right, so the next thing you gotta do is, once you do that, you have to do 90 degrees. So we're about, so we just gotta go 90 degrees to just a little bit less than that. So we just go, and that's 90. All right, so you saw me do the other side, so there's no reason to have you watch me do it again. So it'll be done in a jiffy. And ta-da. All right, so we kind of ran into a little bit of hiccup. So the push rods are kind of wiped out. So when I got this engine, it didn't have the trunnions or the push rods in it. Somebody had taken all that, and the pedestals. So when my buddy gave me the heads, he gave me the rocker arms and push rods as well. I don't think he knew how let's see, did you see that? How bad some of these were. You know, it was kind of, you know, I'm not upset about it or anything, but the majority of them are pretty much wiped out. I mean, I only have seven good ones, and that means that not only are these bad, but the trunnions and rocker arms are bad as well, because these have worn into those. My assumption is whatever vehicle that this came out of, this truck wasn't running very good probably with these flattened push rods. So anyways, we're kind of at a standstill for now, until we get either a full set of push rods or 9 more, and then I don't even want to clean the trunnions, to tell you the truth, or the rocker arms, because they are pretty gross. It'd almost be worth it to just buy a full set of rocker arms and go from there, and you might as well just do the whole thing at that point, I think. So I gotta see what my buddy wants to do, if he wants to buy a full set or try to piecemeal it together with me checking the good ones and seeing from there. So until he gets back to me on that, we're kind of dead in the water. So hopefully this isn't the end of the video. All right. So fast forward, I think 2 weeks ish, week and a half. We decided to replace all the push rods and the rocker arms, so we had to wait for those to come in. So just to recap, I know for you guys it's probably instantaneous, but for me it's been a little bit of time, so I got to remember what we've all done. So we bolted on the heads, put new head bolts in, torqued them all down, new gaskets, new front seal, replaced the cam. I think it's like a thrust plate, I guess. Installed that, new timing chain, upper and lower gears, and then yeah, we kind of hit a standstill, and now we're going to be salvaging the hardware for the rocker arms, so just basically the bolt, but we have to rummage through this. In order to get the hardware we need, we have to take this out, clean them, and pull the bolt out of it. This is a concoction. Well, it's basically Purple Power, and it got really gross over the last 2 weeks. So I'm gonna pull the bolts out and then clean them, and then we're gonna get to installing the rocker arms and push rods. So let's get working on that. And just for kind of reference sake, I guess, this is a cleaned push rod, and it's, you know, it's not that bad. This is what it used to look like. Ugh, these things had been through hell, to say the least. So I'm glad that we got new valve train stuff. So at least the rocker arms and the push rods. So all right. So we picked up some parts from Rock Auto. That's why we had to wait a little bit of time, but overall it was cheaper. I think the push rods itself was about $1.29 a piece, so really like 20 bucks for a set of push rods. And then the rocker arms, I think were about 8 bucks a piece. So all in all, this cost us about 160 bucks. I love using Rock Auto, but for a lot of things I like to use AutoZone, just mainly for their warranties. So like axles, alternators, starters, power steering pumps, any wearable item that can usually fail or something like that, it's way better to use AutoZone, because, and I know it's a little bit more money, but that warranty, that lifetime warranty, covers you for life anyways. And you can just pull it off, run down to the parts store. They usually have what you need as far as you know, LS stuff, but and then you're good to go, and then you don't ever really have to spend any more money ever again on that particular part. You can just always constantly exchange it, and that's the best part about using AutoZone versus O'Reilly. I think O'Reilly has a limited time warranty or something like that, like 2 or 3 years, or I don't really know, I'm not that familiar with it, but I know that AutoZone has a much better warranty system. Um, it's just lifetime unlimited, basically, uh, for as long as you own the car. But anyways, I wanted to talk about the differences in the OEM versus this one. I was actually surprised to see that this one actually has a C-clip in it that holds the trunnion bearing in, which is probably a way better design. The OEM ones have a tendency, I guess, I haven't experienced it, but I've heard horror stories that these caps are pressed in. Well, when you know, are revving at high RPMs, these I've heard that these come out, and then all the needle bearings from the trunnions go all down inside your engine, and no bueno. So I was pretty surprised to see that this Rock Auto brand one had actual C-clips on both sides. So pretty pumped on that. It's going to be a much needed improvement, and we've cleaned up the hardware, and now we can install valve train assembly. All right, so while I do this, I got a little bit of YouTube playing in the background, and I was kind of curious what everybody else is watching on YouTube. I'm watching Brandon Wicknick's Drift Week 4 videos. I've been watching a lot of that, so let me know in the comments, you know, some good channels, some recommendations from you guys, what you guys are watching as far as YouTube content. All right, so this is the pedestal. We'll just install it like that. Make sure the flat side of the rocker is up. And obviously in, I don't have it clocked the right way. This isn't really like a how-to style video on how to do this, you know, or this really isn't a, you know, step-by-step guide kind of channel. This is just kind of what I'm doing, film it, and you know, it's more vlog style than it is you know, a tutorial on how to build a motor, but we're just kind of going through the steps. All right, we're gonna tighten these down. No, we're not. We gotta get the right socket. Is there an 8mm? I believe. All right, so the torque setting is supposed to be at 22 foot-pounds. So we're gonna run across and do them all in 22 foot-pounds. Some of you guys might be, seems extremely, there we go. Why I'm not putting more time or effort or money into the rebuild on this. There's a lot of different reasons. I'd like to see what we can get away with as far as not spending very much money. And typically, in my experience, let me back this one off real quick. I think I had the wrong torque specs. The torque wrench wasn't locked. But anyways, back to the story. So some of you guys might be wondering why I don't spending more time, have machine work done, I'll not do it right the first time, or blah blah blah. Some of you guys are probably cringing at the fact that, you know, we're running the cylinders the way they are. Obviously it's just staining mainly, but you know, why aren't we rebuilding the heads or anything like that? For me personally, in my experience, is that whenever I try to actually build a motor, not myself, or have somebody else build a motor or do machine work on it, spend all that money on forged pistons, rods, you know, the whole kit and caboodle, I've had really bad luck. I've always had really, really good luck with engines like this that, you know, retain a lot of the OEM stuff. Like my current 5.3, you know, I picked it up for relatively cheap, and it looked like it was in pretty rough shape. But here we are 5 years later, not a problem, so to speak. Knock on wood. But you know, and I've had other motors that were seized, and drove on them for many years without unseizing, without even cracking them open to unseize them. Just, you know, your classic ATF down in the cylinders, let it sit for a couple days, put a breaker bar on it, pow, break it loose. You know, this is what works best for me. So all those are torqued down. Now I'm going to move to the other side. All right, guys, finished up doing the rocker arms. That's all done. They're all torqued. Put the valley cover on, new gaskets, taped off the intake ports. We're pretty much out of parts for this thing right now. There's not much left we can do, so I'm pretty much going to end the video here. But before I do end it, I kind of wanted to talk about the plans for this motor, because it's not just going to sit here on the engine stand. We do have plans for it as far as we have a chassis lined up. So I'm excited to get to that. But for this video, we're not going to get into it. I kind of want it to be more of a surprise. So hopefully you guys stick around for that and get to see what it is. Comment below if you know, think you have an idea of what it could possibly be. The only hint I'm going to give you guys is it's a Nissan. So yeah, I'd be curious to see what some of you guys say it might be. But for now, I think that's going to be it. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. I really appreciate you guys watching, and see you next time.